We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, 29th chapter, um, teachings of Lord Kapila about Sankhya Yoga, verse number 22nd. Yo mam sarveshu bhuteshu santam atmanamishwaram hitvarcham bhajate modhya basmanyeva juhoti sa. Yo mam sarveshu bhuteshu santam atmanamishwaram hitvarcham bhajate modhya basmanyeva juhoti sa. Yo mam sarveshu bhuteshu santam atmanamishwaram hitvarcham bhajate modhya basmanyeva juhoti sa. Synonyms, translation, and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yah, one who, mam, me, sarveshu, in all, bhuteshu, living entities, santam, being present, atmanam, the Paramatma, Ishwaram, the Supreme Lord, hitva, disregarding, archam, the deity, bhajate, worships, maudhyat, because of ignorance, bhasmani, into ashes, eva, only, juhoti, offers oblations, sah, he. One who worships the deity of the Godhead in the temples but does not know that the Supreme Lord as Paramatma is situated in every living entity's heart must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations into ashes. Purport. It is stated clearly herein that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his plenary expansion of Supersoul, is present in all living entities. The living entities have 8.4 million different kinds of bodies, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is living in every body, both as the individual soul and as the super soul. Since the individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, in that sense, the Lord is living in everybody. And as the super soul, the Lord is also present as a witness. In both the cases, the presence of God in every living entity is essential. Therefore, persons who profess to belong to some religious sect but who do not feel the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living entity and everywhere else are in the mode of ignorance. If without this preliminary knowledge of the Lord's omnipresence, one simply attaches himself to the rituals in a temple, church, or mosque, it is as if he were offering butter into ashes rather than into the fire. One offers sacrifice by pouring clarified butter into a fire and chanting the Vedic mantra. But even if there are Vedic mantras and all conditions are favorable, if the clarified butter is poured on ashes, then such a sacrifice will be useless. In other words, a devotee should not ignore any living entity. The devotee must know that in every living entity, however insignificant he may be, even in an ant, God is present, and therefore every living entity should be kindly treated and should not be subjected to any violence. In modern civilized society, slaughterhouses are regularly maintained and supported by a certain type of religious principle. But without knowledge of the presence of God in every living entity, any so called advancement of human civilization, either spiritual or material, is to be understood as being in the mode of ignorance. Do the pranam mantra. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे श्रीचैतन्य मनोविष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुवश्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। First of all, my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Seek your blessing. Also, thank and seek blessing of His Grace Madhupati Prabhu for engaging me in this seva so that I can do some Shastra reading, which can increase the devotional service in my heart. We are reading this wonderful discussion of mother and son, Mother Devahuti, and the son who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Kapila. And Mother Devahuti, at the beginning of the chapter, after the previous chapter in which the creation is described as per the Sankhya philosophy, uh, is requesting, asking further questions, primarily about why, tell the time factor and how, by the fear of it, people resort to various satkarmas or devotional services. And Lord Kapila has so far described um, various things related to devotional service, how the devotional service can be in the part of mode, or can be in the mode of goodness, ignorance, and passion, and is also so far described what are the different devotional practices. And His Grace Bhurijan Prabhu very wonderfully, you know, gives the bullet point of so far described devotional practices of like deity worship, Vaishnava association, patience and determination, compassion for the poor, respecting holy teachers, friendship among devotees, chanting Hare Krishna mantra, avoiding bad association, and humility. And after that, now we are discussing a devotee's dealings with others from verse number 21, which is last verse, to 27. And in this particular verse, how Lord Kapila is saying that one who doesn't see the presence of me in all the living entities is actually the one who is said that is ignorant and is also compared to doing the uh, following this bhakti process in a wrong way, as bad as that offering the oblations in the ashes. Fire is considered as the mouth of Lord, and by chanting the Vedic hymns, various sacrifices can be offered in the fire uh, to offer it to Lord. But if Prabhupada explains in the purport that even if all the other settings are there, Pujari is sitting nicely in a Suchi Avastha, all the Vedic hymns are going on, Kirtan is going on, and um, various articles are there and are being offered, but are not being offered, but are offered in the ashes, then that's not actually a sacrifice. So, just like that, um, one who doesn't see the presence of Paramatma in everyone's is actually not having the correct understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and is actually his all the worships, deity worships, Shravanam, Kirtanam, all that is actually nothing but um, compared to uh, offering the oblations in the ashes. There are a few examples. I was listening to a few classes. Um, His Holiness Bhanu Swami gave wonderful class on this verse, and he mentioned that there are. This is one quality of a Vaishnava to be para dukha dukhi, and he uses the word sympathy and empathy. And the distinction between sympathy and empathy is that if you see somebody is suffering, in case of sympathy, you sympathize, you understand that this person is going through some bad time, but you don't do anything. You can just sympathize with it. But in case of empathy, you actually also put yourself in that shoe, you feel that suffering, and you may choose to do something to alleviate that as well. One of the things which a lot of people do is that when they see the beggars in the streets, they ignore it. Okay. Now, one of the concepts about that is that if I offer some Lakshmi, what if this person uses it uh, for purchasing some kind of intoxication or in some other bad uh, act? And I will be party to that bad karma because I am sponsoring that. And yes, that's a correct understanding. But at the same time, um, Maharaj recounts this pastime of His Holiness Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. One time in Orissa, he was uh, returning after the darshan of Sakshi Gopal with some other grihasthas. And on the way, some beggars approached, and these grihasthas ignored the beggars. And that actually saddened Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. He said that um, grihasthas should be compassionate by nature and should not ignore such beggars. So now we cannot offer Lakshmi and we cannot ignore. So what do we do? And the solution to that is that one should give some kind of prasadam. There is no misuse you can do of prasadam other than you can eat it. Uh, that's the primary use. So by this you are actually helping this soul, uh, and at the same time you're not ignoring it. So that is the right way to deal with it. We see that so many programs are run by ISKCON all over the world, including Food for Life. If there are some calamities, devotees go and then they prepare wonderful prasadam and then distribute uh, to help out people, and that's a right approach, because we have to see this very important part that uh, everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. So that means here what Prabhupada is saying, individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. In that sense, the Lord is living in everyone's body. So the soul is nothing but the Lord. And Lord is also present as the super soul. We can try to understand this like this hand is part and parcel of me. That means in one sense this hand is me, because if this hand does something, you say that I did that thing. So just like that, if we all are part and parcel of the Lord, so when you look at somebody, you should see the lordship. And at the same time, you also see the presence of super soul in everyone's heart. It is said that it is incomplete understanding of the Lord if somebody is at the uh, just the Brahman realization, or just the localized form of Paramatma realization. But in the with the same exploration, we can say that uh, it is also incomplete realization if somebody is only realizing the personal form of the Lord, but not seeing the uh, localized form of the Lord. When all three are present, we can know that, okay, Lord is realized in three stages, that is Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, and Bhagwan. So then we know, then we have the complete understanding of the Lord. Yeah. Then second point which La Prabhupada is mentioning in here is that of violence. Uh, and then violence can be of two types. One is being mentioned here, which is the slaughterhouses, which are there's so many slaughterhouses, and millions of animals are being killed and are being served on a platter, on a plate, just for the satisfaction of the tongue. Uh, that's a that's a lot of sin. Uh, in fact, it is any kind of such act is bad for our spiritual as well as material both um, advancements. One story, you know, is recounted as that um, Maharshi Vishwamitra, before he became Maharshi Vishwamitra, he was a Brahmarshi Vishwamitra. Before he became Brahmarshi, he was a king, and his name was Kaushik. And we all know that he one time he visited um, Maharishi Vasishtha ashram, and Maharishi Vasishtha took care of his army, his entire army, and him. Provided Atithya Seva, and served them very nicely. Maharishi Vasishtha had a desire cow, and that cow uh, produced sumptuous prasadam meal for all the people who were present, and that generated some kind of envy in the heart of King Kaushik, and he wanted to have possession of that cow. But um, that cow did not want to leave the service of Mercy, Vasisht. So that cow also produced a big army and defeated the army of Kaushik. So he then, King Kaushik then desired that, okay, this king, being a king is not powerful enough. So I have to become a Brahmana and I have to become a Brahmarshi to generate this power and for to get this power. And for that, he actually performed uh, thousands of years of tapasya, and many obstacles came. And one of the obstacles, we know Ramba and Menika's obstacles. Another obstacle which came was that one time when he was meditating, a bird flew by, and the droppings from the bird fell on the head of King Kaushik. And he became angry, and he looked at that bird, and that bird burned to the ashes. Now it's a violence towards the bird. And because of that, all the spiritual strength and the austerity so far King Kaushik had done, they all vanished. So uh, that is the problem. That is the um, uh, that is what happens once when one is engaged in the violence towards the living entities. Um, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Sarvasya Chaham Hriday Sannivishto. I am present in everyone's heart. So we have to have that realization. We cannot have this uh, violence against the animals. You know. Now, from that, many times this question comes that, okay, all the vegetables also are living entities, uh, uh, and if we are eating the vegetables and other plants, even our diet, then also we are committing violence. So yes, that's correct. But at the same time, Shastras also say that uh, Jive Jivasya Jivanam, one's life or the energy one gets comes from another living entity. But at the same time, in our Krishna consciousness, we offer this uh, uh, offer this first to the Lord, and then we accept the prasadam. So uh, then we eradicate this offense. We don't go through this uh, committing the offense process. We avoid that by first offering it to the Lord. And the real purpose of cooking, um, our mindset should be that it is for the Lord. And once the Lord has accepted, we can have the remnants as prasadam. Um, then there is another point which comes in, that there are 8.4 million different kind of um, bodies, and Bhagavad Gita says that pandita samadarshina. Does that mean that we treat all of them equally? Yeah. In the just previous section, we saw that the devotional practices, one is that serving the sadhu, but at the same time, other is that avoiding the bad association. So, yes, and even from verse number 21 to 27, next verse onwards, Lord Kapila will describe the different um, categories of uh, bodies and different categories of um, living entities. For example, we cannot, we cannot um, treat a sadhu and a tiger at the same level. You can offer. obeisances to sadhu, and you'll get blessings. You'll get you know uh, piety in response. But if you offer obeisances to a tiger, you'll say the Mahaprasade Govind and done. So we cannot do that. We have to have that discrimination uh, and understanding. Another in the purport Srila Prabhupada mentions is that another point he mentions is that yes, we need to respect all the animals, all the living entities, but at the same time there are gradations. For example, Prabhupada mentions that dogs are considered to be unclean by their nature, and that's why they are not allowed to be inside the house. Okay. Um, we can also see that a cow dung is considered pure, but other animal dungs droppings, they are considered impure. So this understanding, which is based on the Shastra and then common sense, has to be used in dealing with the other living entities. But at the same time, we have to have that respect. We have to have that compassion. Uh, it's a very common practice in India that in the morning, when mothers are uh, making food preparation, the first roti is prepared for a cow. And then, generally you'll see that a cow comes in the morning to the house, and then you give the roti, and then the cow goes away. There is also water in the summer season, which is, there is a tub which is made or kept in front of the house, and water is filled. Its tub is cleaned on a regular basis, and water is filled so that various animals can come and drink water from there. Various birds can come and then uh, cool themselves and drink water. So this is very important aspect of Krishna consciousness. And another type of violence which comes is the verbal violence. In fact, um, I, I came across this wonderful verse in the 11th canto, 23rd chapter, verse number 3. Says, Na tatha tapyate vidma pumana vanestu marmagai yatha tu danti marmastha yasatam parusheshava. Says that a sharp arrow which pierces one chest and reaches the heart do not cause as much suffering as the arrows of harsh, insulting words that become dodged within the heart when spoken by uncivilized men. So it's very important to take guard of our words. In fact, Acharya has explained that um, this is lower than uh, criticizing somebody with a harsh word is lower than having the hatred in the heart. You, because you may have hatred in the heart uh, about somebody for whatever reason, but the moment you bring it in your tongue, on your tongue and start criticizing, you start fanning the fire. You start giving it more energy, and um, that will pierce the heart of the listener, uh, and will cause even more pain than it's said that those piercing words are uh, they cause more suffering than the suffering which is caused by an actual arrow which pierces to the heart. So this is what I wanted to discuss. Quickly summarize that we have to see the presence of the Supreme Lord in everyone's heart, and we have to be compassionate towards every living entity. And in that compassion, uh, we have to um, make sure that we are not ignoring um, you know uh, various living entities. And then there are practices which we discussed, for example, how we can do charity towards beggars, how we can you know put some kind of uh, you know dealings with other living entities, and then we discuss about how we should avoid the physical violence, primarily slaughterhouses. We should not subscribe to that. That is by following the four regulative principles. I don't think anybody on this forum or associated with temple is subscribing to that, but that's important. And then the final one was that verbal violence, we should avoid that also at all times. So with that, I would like to stop here. And we went a couple of minutes over. So over to you, buddy.
Thank you very much, Akhilesh Krishna. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we like to offer our prayers to Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Rama Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Rama Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Rama Ramo, Hare Hare. Shina Shingo Jaina Shingo Jai Jaina Shingo Praladesha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringam. Ugraveera Mahavishnu Jalantam Sarvatomukam Narsingham Vishnum Bhadram Mityam Namiham Narsingha Bhagwana Ki Jai, Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai. Pawna time for today is 5:26 to 10:25 a.m. Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhu bhaya vacha patitanam pavane bhayo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavrinda ki jai. ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल.
Thank you, everyone. Hari Krishna.